Eventually, it's no rush.
Well, Kirk's got a new PFP. What?
Yeah, buddy. Slick.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Well, shit. Let's go ahead and get started. New prospects and removals. Our communities. You want to run that?
So I believe we arrived at the decision that Pochak, who recently joined our server, came in, and there was a welcome call with Dim, and a great conversation that followed after they posted their his or her discussions in the DAO prospects. Um, so Pochak, having come in, seems like somebody that is really eager to get started and going in the DAO, and I believe we'd love to make him a member um, accordingly.
Yeah. Can you give a little more information on what exactly was mentioned?
Sure. So there are some discussions in the prospects area that Pochak is, as far as the specific discussions with Dim. I'd need Dim to chime in here, but as far as his background, Pochak is a UX designer, which is very interesting in terms of the talents and skill requirements that we as a community could always use. When you look at the background and the feedback of where he's coming from, um, having worked on decentralized storage platforms and um, Lighthouse XYZ, which I believe is a very interesting solution and tool for on-chain scoring tailored to community voting, or send non-transferable tokens to people accordingly. It looks very similar to the Contribute DAO, or what was it? There was a specific DAO that enabled P2P rewarding mechanisms and things like that that we had discussed in the past. Um, and it looks like this individual is, first of all, has been very active from the get-go, um, very interested and intrigued in being part of discussions, joined relatively early and recently, but has been very active in responding, um, both to calls on the welcome calls and some other discussions on wanting to
Okay.
participate. My
So he
understanding
has
is,
yeah, he has a really unique skill set that could definitely benefit the community and Grape in general,
I think so. I think
especially from
so.
UX design.
Yeah, and also I think the attitude is always one of the things that I look at personally, just for edification. Like if I see somebody has the willingness
Yeah.
and the intent to be positive, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes somebody reaches out, they submit something in the prospects, but they're not really responsive after. They kind of disappear,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I
Very
which
true.
I find which I find very interesting and strange. But it seems like this individual was immediately, on board and really interested in trying to get involved. So would love to see would love to see more of this type of participation. And again, when we talk about super users, I'm not sure if it gets any more super user than somebody that's built stuff. And
Yeah.
this guy's been on Ethereum before and moving into, it's one of the age olds of people that come into the community. Um, where did you start? Ethereum. Okay. uh, but anyway, the long story short, that would be the addition for this week. I think the removal needs a little bit more time to evaluate, but that's uh, that's where we stand currently.
Very good. Um. Thanks. The next topic would be the metrics. I know Dim reported a slight reduction in memberships for the first week of May, and by that I mean 1%. I think on Gibbons was the max amount of reduction on memberships. Do you want to give a quick metric update on?
Oh yes, I do. Oh yes, I do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
please.
Of course I do. And I think it's one of those days where I'm like, I'm just trying to triple check to make sure my numbers aren't wrong, because it's amazing. And I don't want to be the guy to hype it and then turn around and somebody says, "Well, where'd you get your numbers? This is way off." Um, We have 10 million grape staked right
What?
now. I'm gonna paste it. Yep, I'm gonna paste it right now. You bear with me.
Didn't we have like 5 million like what 3 weeks ago or something like that?
Earlier in the month, so April 25th, we had 7.5 million, and magically, I guess people got the message on the staking discussion and the fact that you wouldn't get your rewards if you didn't do what you were supposed to.
When you say
Um,
magically, you mean crypto pause pushing something forward.
Correct. It's automagical. Nobody did anything to make this happen at all,
Yeah.
right? No. Of course he did. This is definitely. I see that being a one-to-one relationship between that proposal, that idea, and us actually implementing it, and that going live. So awesome, awesome job, and I'm posting it right now in the live chat so everybody can see it. I need to triple
Mm.
check. Oh, wait a sec. It was the total number of votes which have changed, which I wanted to make sure were uh, were accurate before I did that. My mistake.
Yep.
Yeah. So 10 million. We are 10.6 million, if you please. So that means that we increased significantly. It's 40. It's a 40% increase week over week. In March, end of March, we had 4.6 million. So we've over doubled within a month.
Damn.
which I think is a really positive metric and something that we, in general, as a community, should be very proud of, um, to say the least. Like, bravo! This is great stuff, if you ask me.
All right.
One thing I will call out: we still, if I'm not mistaken, only have 7 proposal creators. Even though I believe we have more Neanderthals, so let's get those proposals going, if you have any.
Yeah.
Um, just an FYI.
Is it Neanderthal or Neanderthal?
I say Neanderthal. I
Oh,
think.
okay.
I don't know if I said it differently before, and now I'm fucking with you, but I didn't mean to.
Yeah. Okay. Just curious.
Neanderthal. I go
Um.
between those two worlds.
All right. That's a really good update. Thanks for that.
Yep.
Um. Our next brief update would be the on-chain vote, which we currently only have one, which is sending an 80 Solana operational budget to the Grape Council. It has reached quorum, but there's still 1 day and 23 hours. So if you haven't voted yet, please do go and vote. There's 4.7 million votes, highly favoring this proposal. Um, so yeah. Any other update that needs to go on this, Tim?
No, I think we can move on. Since it's
Okay.
passed, we can move on. Just to say a quick thing on the metrics that Archimedes is talking about. We also did the NFT giveaway for rounds voting, which is super cool.
Yep.
10 people received, actually 9 because somebody won 2 times, received their NFTs as a reward from the DAO board at the NFT Council. So yeah, this is something that we're probably going to be doing every month. And yeah, great to see these numbers.
And the next one would be the Anatoly the Cat NFT for sharing 5% of the mint with Grape. I guess that's just the update.
It's like more of a shout out
Yeah.
because obviously the gaming council did a fantastic work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was on the original call, I think, where they were exploring the ideas of what they do there, and seeing that happen and get to where it is right now is phenomenal. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool to see. I hope sometime in the future we can like also like start transitioning rather instead of mint, a percent of the mint, getting a percentage of the secondary fees rather. Even if it's just 1%, like that makes more sense to me. But still, this is an amazing thing.
Greedy. I like your
Yeah.
thinking.
Is it greed or is it just forward thinking?
No, it's
Fair line.
absolutely valid. I support it.
It's a virtuous cycle of rewards.
Yeah. It's just in response to Riptide's earlier comment on me. All right. Next update would be Lighthouse, an on-chain scoring protocol aiming at organizing user-centric research and UX design.
Yeah,
Um,
That's
we
why
graced it.
that's why
Yeah,
Potrock. Yep, that's the Potrock discussion.
yeah, I'll need to dive
and
into that.
there will be a follow up with the DAO board. So yeah, we need some more information and figure out what we actually could do. But there is obviously a lot of potential there. So
Hmm.
Any thoughts on what it is? Anybody have any more feedback about that? Is there any color that we could put onto that canvas, or just an outline?
yeah, maybe someone knows the project or has heard of it. If not,
On the, just to give some context on the welcoming call, just Podrock was super interested in joining us and evaluating the dynamics of our DAO tooling and how we've set up everything, and he wants to be a part of it. Personally, yeah, we didn't talk about what he has done before, so the call would serve us well to understand how we can definitely work together. So yeah.
That's awesome, though. It's really great to see the participants coming through. You know, people talking about bear markets, etc. But seeing that there's interest and seeing that there are people voting on our DAO proposals from Socian and people coming from Ethereum with Lighthouse and tools like this that want to participate in our community. This is huge, guys. I think that this is obviously we're doing something right. You know, the mission was get more Solana super users, and it feels like we're getting there. It's organically happening. So very nice. What's next?
Gan Token
Sorry, I
would be
was muted.
next, right?
I had a quick question. Sorry. Did we find out how he located or found Grape?
Great question. I don't
Good
think so.
question. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I mean, because whatever method, like they 100% trying to attract more people like this person. So
Yeah.
it's not crucial, but it's just my own
No.
curiosity.
No, Dynite. I think you're actually spot on. I think that that's one of those things that we were talking about in a previous DAO call, where it's like, how do we figure out where someone comes from, and how do we incentivize that group? If it's a sub DAO, you know, if it happened on Whale Stream, if
Yep.
it happened because Dean was looking for something and came across someone he was talking to and they got interested, a tweet, whatever.
Add it
Yeah.
to the DAO application process.
Yeah.
Just a simple question. And it can be
Yep.
a starter, if we know how they did hear from Grape, we could then elaborate on that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah,
really important one.
good. Okay. Yeah, the next one was the Gan token. Update on the Gan holders. I believe right now we are currently sitting at 43 holders. I'm not sure what number we were at last week, but
the
still,
projects, sorry,
still relatively low. And I believe the on the yesterday is when um It got implemented to like stop the verification process, right? Did that go in? Did
No,
that was that active yesterday?
Removal, yeah.
Specifically.
I see.
So, yeah. So
So they will gradually learn of it because things don't work like expected. So, and I was wondering, I didn't see many people joining Discord and asking about it. So maybe the moderators can or do know whether there was like more feedback or irritation or whatever.
I haven't seen anything negative as a result, and people typically don't respond with anything negative, right? We've communicated to a number of these servers. Notably Fantasia has onboarded, Block Asset is onboarded, MeanFi is onboarded. The usual suspects, the Sanctuary, right? It's the projects that we're engaged in. They're engaged with us as well and active. There are other projects that haven't given us the wallets yet. Like we've communicated to them, but they haven't told us where they're holding it, if they're holding it.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the second link I posted in live chat below the first topic is feedback in Grape chat, and it's basically the only feedback I directly saw. So, yeah, and it is relatable. So, but
Yeah.
I'm curious. I really don't understand why not more people are coming in and asking, because obviously they should be interested in their Discord server working properly, but obviously they aren't. I don't know. I'm a bit at a loss.
Responsiveness is unfortunately, the tweets have gone out. The communications in a lot of cases have been direct DMs. Some partners / servers are responding. Some
Like, how do I need to imagine such a conversation? Because obviously I also texted some servers or some admins there, but I got one response. Everybody else was just silent. So, is it
DMing.
usually like that, or
Yes. So this is
what
where
the hell?
well, and herein lies the challenge when we bring up discussions around, hey, does everybody know? First of all, DMing individuals is not, unfortunately, it's not the best, and you try and go into their servers to communicate it, right? That's the next step. The only other way to do this is to go to every single server and communicate directly on their server. Hey, Grape is doing this, which, is or isn't the best way to do it, or post a tweet alone.
Yeah, but I'd figure that because I did it that way, I looked up the list, I joined their server, and I looked for admins or mods, and then I DM'd them because I didn't want to make like a
Yeah.
huge fuss. But if they accept DMs, they obviously should read them, or at least
Well,
like be
imagine
interested.
having been, so I'll say this, there's a security problem in general when you're an admin of a server. You become the target of a whole bunch of different
Of course.
communications, and I'll just say this, people get slammed with legit requests from people that need help and scammers all the time. And so the going consensus is protect yourself at all costs, and one of the quickest and easiest ways to protect yourself is just do not respond to random messages, especially with things that have to do with links or anything like that. So, the group DMs where we had established a specific communique, there are specific group DMs that we have with certain projects that are open, and we're communicating, and we send the message, but they don't really respond to the action that they need to take.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know, and this has been the way it's been for as long as we've been running this process. Asking, when we changed the setup process, as an example, we told them that they need to come to our Grape server, right? Which removed the need for these direct DMs. So, barring going to every single server, making the announcement, and then somebody, coming and complaining directly to the Grape server, there are a couple of different approaches. The point is, is there a better way to communicate it? Probably. Have we put it in our documentation? Yes. Have we tweeted about it? Yes. Have we sent DMs to a lot of the projects that we deem to be high value and important in our ecosystem? Yes. Have they all responded? No. And what you're describing, CryptoPause, that's the conundrum. That's the problem. That unless you have a running DM with them that you've already communicated with them, it's very hard to get a hold of any of the admins, and the admins themselves are not always the right contacts to solve this problem. That's the other thing. So even if you get an admin, they're not the ones that are going to facilitate running the DAO or running a question that goes to the DAO, because they don't have processes. Imagine us, right? We have all these things figured out because we've dealt with a lot of these things, and we have really active moderators that understand when something comes through, they'll send it to the right channel. We have a very robust structure for our DAO, and people know who can I contact, right? They could, forward you on to someone else who can help you. But I digress. The point is, the amount of energy that's gone into it from the community, from everybody, Billy, Baba, Dean, everybody that's on these things, Taiki, Tariq, Krex, anybody that has access to any of these DMs has been, for the most part, trying to go through that process of getting those communications going. Legend, I could keep saying names because there are so many different communications that are happening and people are talking and trying to get the message out. Unfortunately, even on the group DMs where it's the official chat, where we've created this, this medium of, they ask us for support through these channels and we respond through those channels. If we've communicated it and they don't respond, it just tells me, maybe they're not concerned enough yet, and maybe it'll become a discussion when it starts to fail. And I hate to say that, right? It's not the model I'm keen on. It's not the model I want to be the case, unfortunately, in this space.
So at this point, we are just basically waiting, right?
We're basically continuing to have the communications going out. I mean, there's 27 out of the 40 that we just talked about. So people have bought it.
Mhm.
Question is, where are the wallets so we can get them in? And then the rest that haven't actually bought it yet or picked it up, yeah, it's a wait and see, and not a wait and see, proactively continuing to reach out, following up, across the 800 servers that we can. There's at least 150 DMs that I'm on, group DMs that I'm on, that I've seen other members reach out and communicated. So, less of a major concern. But the point is getting them to do it. This is why the discussion on should we get it for them and send it to them, etc. It's like, if we reached out and asked them to give us the wallet, it's the same thing. Are we going to get an answer?
Nothing would happen, right? And we would just have bought like 10 Gan Token.
Correct.
Awesome.
Correct. And
I'm
that's
not happy. I'm not happy about that.
Well, look, I don't know if I think it's a general problem that all projects, especially one that tries to talk to all different projects at the same time, I don't think it's an easy problem to solve. The only method in which this can be done effectively, that I can tell so far, is this, barring any other central medium of communication that people check regularly. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, it seems all steps have been taken on our point. Also, I don't know if it's a fair ratio to compare the number of GAN tokens we currently have to the project servers that we were serving before, because at that point it was pretty much we were serving anyone who needed verification. At this point, we're gonna have a much better idea of which projects we're actually using our great verification and continue to build on. It seems all steps have been taken. People will start to realize it sooner or later, and I'm not sure if there will be that much of of a difference from what we currently have. But as long as all of the not important but like highly active project servers have been reached out to, I think we just continue with that process.
Yeah. Looks like it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Because there's no point in reaching out to 500 people when 50 project servers are actually here, especially with these market conditions, still building, still serving the community.
yep.
So we just keep doing that, and keep trying to find a better way to convey the message of GAN, whether by tweets, even by this bounty, this video tutorial that Metaverse has said to be working on. Um,
Yep. That should
simple things like that, just making it easier for people to understand. And now when we onboard new people for verification, hopefully switching that narrative, people, being better in that process and in that aspect. So,
right.
um,
Maybe also
and
in
you, and
respect. Yeah, sorry.
no, I was finished.
Yeah, maybe also in regards to the idea behind the Gan token. So it's like later down the road, we want to establish a DAO for it. So we obviously need something like communication that works. So we also should like talk with the partner servers on how to improve that, because this isn't an ideal situation for everyone involved. Basically, is just annoyed, I figure. So and if there is something like DAO functionality attached to the GAN token, we need something. We obviously need a better form of communication or routes or like
I mean,
avenues that work.
yeah. I mean, it's in the roadmap, right? Dean, I think, published an article that calls out the roadmap back in the early April. Yeah.
Yeah, like what Kirk
Certainly.
said, basically. Yeah,
Yep.
we need the feedback, and that's basically also why I put it on the agenda, because I had hoped for any feedback from partners regarding the process or the GAN token itself or the costs attached. But if nobody actually gave feedback or said anything,
We should send them
it's a
to
bit
the Dean
worrying.
list. We should send them to the Dean list. Let the Dean list, let Pontus and Dean and the Dean list group be that place where we send feedback and we say, hey guys, we got this. What do you think? Maybe maybe see if they're interested in taking that on, since there's a reward for it as well, right? There's a way in which feedback can also be used in a positive light. So let them make the bounty, right? Since they're the feedback guys, because we love the feedback we get from these guys. And I'm saying it now that I saw Pontus post a grape emoji.
Yeah.
I'm there, bro. I'm there. I'm one of those grapes on that vine, baby. That's it.
Okay, settle down now. um, all right. Any last minute comments on the GAN token before we proceed?
No, just anybody who's listening and anybody who knows of projects that they're interested in using and whatnot, feel free to let them know. Share the tweet with them, get the message across if they haven't already seen the ones that we've sent. Please.
All right. The next topic would be to establish a DAO pool. Archimedes, can you give in
Absolutely.
under 3 minutes a
Yes,
quick
sir.
summation of that
I'll,
entire thing?
yeah, I
Give
might
him
need
5. It's a
I
bigger
might need.
topic.
I'm gonna make it simple. I know it looks like an essay when you read it, the Encyclopedia Britannica of fucking DAO rewards, but excuse my French.
Yeah.
So it's not that heavy, I promise. So the direct approach, the ideal approach that's being proposed here is that we split up the discussion into two buckets. One being proposals, and the other one being votes. And so I'll start with votes because that is the most impactful, and I think the one that is universally acceptable for all of us, is a model in which we identify and define a pool that we can allocate from the Grape community treasury. Every epoch we're allowed to be dynamic. We can tie it to the amount of grapes staked on realms. Starting at a baseline of 50,000 grape, that could be a shared pool, and then increasingly 0.1% of the overall grape staked. At the total circulating supply of grape, if we were to ever reach, let's say, the total supply of 500 million, that would be at most 500,000 grape. So it would increase over time if all grape was staked on realms, as an example, just to put that number into account. So voting would be rewarded as a function of your stake in grape on realms times a ratio of the total pool that's available divided by the total valid stake, which is anybody who has made more than one vote or more than 0 votes. So anybody with 0 votes does not count in the stake pool of individuals that deserve to be rewarded for participation in voting in that epoch. And then it's multiplied by how many votes did you vote on from the proposals that were submitted, and that's the percentage of rewards you would get in a given epoch of the number of votes. That's the best model I could think of, and the best one that I could find after using and walking through other projects like Cello, Harmony, Algorand, etc., where they have different models of rewarding people, and that seems to be the best in terms of making sure that it's dynamic and capable of adjusting to performance and activity, which is what we really want to reward. The next
So
piece is
it's the grape. The voting reward, I guess the reward amount is your amount of grape stake times the number of whatever we have in the grape pool divided by the number of votes that you were able to execute during that epoch.
correct.
Okay.
In a nutshell, and that really is just get more people voting and get more people to be rewarded for that voting, because it's impactful and it's important to the community to make sure that any effort that they put into it, it continues the discussion on getting more people staked in realms, getting more people interested in governance, and the participation should be rewarded, and we should be giving people the ability to gain more power in proposing. So that was the first 4 minutes, by the way, just discussing the votes alone.
That's okay.
Can I get another 4 for the proposals tonight?
Please.
Thank you, sir.
CryptoPause DM'd me.
Thank you, sir. So so as a function of that, in theory, anybody who creates proposals would get rewarded for voting. However, we did want to be able to provide the implementation, or at least an approach to being able to create proposals and reward proposals. And so the discussion on proposals, which CryptoPause very poignantly pointed out, and Pontus gave some great feedback as well. Thank you both for your feedback on both of these fronts, both on voting and proposals, but specifically for proposals. I was looking at other models and trying to figure out if there's anything where we could figure out what's gone wrong in other projects before proposing something on how it would work for us. And when you look at a project like Definity, which I don't think is as robust as people make it out to be, or as positive as Solana, they have a model by which they reward people for proposals that was being manipulated, and there are at least 4 or 5 forums that are happening in their DAO discussions about how to prevent spam proposals, because they reward proposals. And so this model that's being proposed in this particular event is identifying very specifically a pool, and this time, instead of the pool being something that's dynamic that can increase over time, it's something where we have a target milestone of how many proposals do we really want per epoch, how many are feasible and realistic. Is there a target number of proposals that we generally want to see? 20 seems like a good number for us to get to at some point, where it's consistently on average 20 proposals every epoch. If it's more, great, right? But the ability for people to look at 5 different proposals every week, for instance, might be a little overwhelming. So starting there, and we can always come back and review, but here's the formula. There's a pool. You would be rewarded as a proposer for every valid and successful proposal you make versus the total number of community proposals. And CryptoPause, thank you for making that distinction. There are two different types of proposals in Realms. You can be a community proposal or a council proposal. This is specifically for the community proposals. So the pool or the number of proposals we're talking about in total would be all the proposals submitted within an epoch or a month. And then there are success criteria for defining what constitutes a successful proposal. And the successful proposal would have to be a qualified majority or a supermajority vote that is successful, where at least 4/5 of our community has agreed or supported a proposal that went on chain. And this is all in Realms, so it's all visible and it's all capable of being able to be deciphered or analyzed. And so that creates a ratio. The number of successful proposals you created versus the number of proposals that were created overall, and you receive a portion of the overall pool for the contribution that you've made to those proposals for that epoch. Why does it incentivize and prevent the spam discussions that I mentioned on Definity? It comes down to a very simple logic of, to avoid excess creation of proposals that don't really mean anything, and for anybody to game the system in terms of trying to band together to make proposals that would get shot down by the community. If there are too many active proposals that are not qualified, it effectively will water down the overall reward, which, yes, will penalize all proposals equally. However, that should be something that we look at as part of the equation, is proposals are for the community in the first place. And so it's not really a penalty as much as it's a diminishing return. So in that light, if there were 10 proposals that were successful and there were only 10 proposals that were submitted and there was a 50,000 grape bounty reward, each proposer would get 5,000 grape. So there's that option of going the fixed reward, which I think is, I'd like to evaluate dynamic models like this in the future where it's capable for us to prevent excess or unwarranted and reward people for things that don't currently get rewarded, and enable them to be compensated, because yes, there are costs with Realms and costs with squads where every vote you make and every proposal you make, you're paying something in soul. So rewarding people just seems like a logical next step. And those are the two approaches. Voting is my favorite one of all. Specifically, the proposal is more of a compensation for and kind of contingency for making sure that proposals can be rewarded. And so this would be what I would put forward as a on-chain vote for the community to vote on. And there are alternatives in the documentation, and I've called them all out so people understand that I didn't just look at these models that I just proposed. I looked at other models. I looked at our previous models. I looked at everything. It might feel a little confusing when you're reading it, but think about it as comparative analysis, looking at other projects across the ecosystem, protocol level DAOs that are trying to govern their entire ecosystems, having failed to do something in certain ways, and looking for solutions to solve those problems. And I honestly believe that this answers at least those two problems pretty effectively. So that's my two grapes. If anybody has any thoughts or considerations or concerns, please feel free to comment on the discourse thread. There are 5 individual votes for survey purposes, for me to get a sentiment of what people think about this proposal, to see which approach makes the most sense, so that once it goes to an on-chain vote, everybody feels comfortable knowing that, you know, this was circulated appropriately. And also it dove into some very specific things where we've talked about the proposals of how emissions and rewards could work, and I'm taking a very piece by piece approach. So this is just the DAO rewards. This does not impact work. It does not impact treasury contributions. It's none of that stuff. It's a totally separate thing that would work off of metrics. And the only challenge now is finding the metrics and making sure that they're capable of being harvested and put into a format that's easy to make these determinations and decisions.
Yeah, is there a reason why the vote was so short? Was it just to gauge like the interest from the community and then proceed on, or?
Yeah, and I was actually eager to try and get it to an on-chain vote immediately because we discussed it so many times. I didn't want to deliberate anymore, but I also wanted to give people the opportunity by the end of the day today to really just take a look at it, read through it. It's, you know, a 10-15 minute process of reading through this. If it if it causes more problems than solutions, I'm sorry. Uh, but you know, looking forward to seeing what the results are, at least in a core sentiment of people that that want to give feedback. And the surveys are going to end tonight, but feedback is always capable of being provided on the comments, and I'll read every single thing everybody posts because I'm very interested in knowing what we all think about. And thank you, CryptoPause and Pontes, for both, you know, taking the time to really analyze it, give your feedback. I wasn't in disagreement with you necessarily. I was just saying there were certain things I thought about that I factored in the way I did because I thought simplifying this as much as possible is the best that I can hope for, because it has to be maintained. And also, ideally, some point in the future, this is all going to be on chain and it's going to happen programmatically where it itself could be voted on, right? Every epoch. So that's my two grapes.
Obviously, that were many more grapes, and I really thank you for that because I can only imagine how much time it took to research everything and put it together and adapt it for us basically. So very, very much appreciated.
Well, thank you guys for reading it.
Yeah, I voted based on what you had just described earlier and just now. But it definitely will tomorrow because my time is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Dive in.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you guys. I appreciate it. I really appreciate everything you guys do with giving me feedback on this. And if anybody has any objections, I'm more than glad to entertain whatever those are and adjust accordingly if it's impactful.
Yeah, a lot of work, and appreciate that. Right
I
and
don't
red.
want to go willy-nilly. By the way, sorry, just real quick, I think that this discussion is also something that when we get to the Athens DAO discussion, I'd like to resurface it as something that's a reference point.
I see an objection, but I'm not sure in regards to what.
I love Kirk. I'm gonna assume he was joking until otherwise.
I'm not sure what you mean, Kirk.
He likes to keep us in suspense. It's becoming a habit. I will think of something. Okay.
I think it's the new PFP. It's the comrade trash panda. I object.
Yeah. Definitely. I think there was one question from Right and Red. Where does the rewards go? Directly to the Realms deposit?
Yeah, maybe that's the confusion. If I remember correctly, it's not possible for us right now to deposit or to send Grape rewards directly to a member's Realms wallet, correct? So a member basically has to stake the the Grape on Realms themselves, and we send it to their wallet, basically normal wallet address.
Mm-hmm. That would be nice.
Yeah, it would be for sure. Maybe Kirk, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I remember our conversation regarding that topic. Because this would obviously solve also the issue with membership rewards. So
Yeah.
or could.
I mean, is
I'm not
that
saying that
also
it's
something that? Sorry.
no, it's okay.
Or a bounty can be created? Is that something that we can request from the Realms team? If something like that would be possible, or is that something that they're actually looking into providing?
Yeah, that's why I wrote yet, because if I remember correctly, it's planned, but I'm not sure.
I wonder the use of Strata's bounties. I know that might be like really rudimentary and everything, but is there any value in looking at that as a place where the funding is confirmed and available and easily deployable? I.e., do we need a sub-DAO token or a token specifically for bounties to make it possible that people can get the bounty token as a result? Could we use an existing place could we just use Dean's List as the place where bounties? I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there as a topic of using the tooling we have at our disposal.
Yeah, I'm not sure. All right, I guess we're done with this part of the conversation. Is there any last minute comments, questions on the DAO poll? Okay, the next topic is emissions. This is something that we still need a little bit more time at this point. I don't think we're in any rush uh, to get this out until we have a better process put out there for the Grape community. Next topic would be the Grape membership NFT. Riptide, is Riptide in here? Yeah, there he is. You want to come up? I've invited you.
Hello. How's it going?
Hey,
The Grape NFT. There is the NFT thread now, the Grape NFT thread, and I know, and there's been some ideas bounced around in there, and I know that the content creators, Yarrow in particular, I think, he's put together a loose roadmap for what might happen with the thread, and I believe he was potentially going to look at putting together a proposal, possibly with Taki's help, to maybe to request some funds from the DAO to commission some art, I think.
and you did a fantastic job with the summary, so everybody go and read it. Really, there are good examples, pretty concise, really well done.
Yeah, a lot of work went into this and feedback. It's really great.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, there was obviously a lot of feedback across the two posts. So there was the design thread and the utility thread. So I tried to bring that together under one document and then just kind of like add what I believed were either my own pros and cons or pros and cons that other people had raised. So it's there, and yeah, as CryptoPos noted, there's a few examples there down the bottom. I there are many examples that we could put in, but the few examples that I chose were kind of projects that generally had some sort of utility or were building behind them, rather than just random PFP projects.
Yep. Dude, this is definitely my my Sunday reading. It's better than the newspaper.
There's some good stuff in the Grape NFT thread as well, talking about just some of the kind of overarching themes of like what good NFT projects maybe have and different things like this. So yeah, there was a checklist that Taki shared from a thread, which was really, really nice information. Yeah, and I suppose like my preferred solution is still the idea that we might also, as well as having say a PFP collection that identifies a member of Grape, my preferred idea might be that it would still interact with governance, that you could potentially hold some voting power behind it. There are still other options in consideration, especially I think the main other contender is the idea of a meta space NFT gallery. But I did reach out to Realms. I was talking to Sebastian over there, and he was like saying that at a very basic level, if it's an NFT that has a certain, like if it's tiered in a certain way. So imagine if we transcribed our membership of gibbons, great apes, gorillas, you can go beyond to Neanderthals and et cetera, et cetera. You can very easily kind of just say in Realms that this particular NFT or type of NFT has this particular amount of voting weight behind it. He's there saying there are more complicated things you can think about. So for instance, I brought up the marinade tokens or marinade protocols, marinade chefs, which are dynamic NFTs that you mint with a certain amount of their marinade token, and then those NFTs act as they interact with their governance, so you use them to vote with, but it's not one and done. It's you can retrospectively add more marinade tokens to those NFTs over time to increase their voting weight. So the specifics of that they're saying is still under wraps, but they plan on releasing that once they fully roll out their marinade chefs. They're doing kind of the initial run of them at the minute. So I think just some of this, at least on the voting and governance side of utility, might be relatively achievable. I'm less certain on some of the, like say the feasibility of the metaverse gallery, but I'm aware that Rustin Mott has talked to other people about that, and he's very well informed on these kind of things because I think he's quite passionate about that himself.
Very interesting. A lot to take in there. There's obviously great job on the conversations with Sebastian. I know that Realms is a realm. It's its own dimension.
Yeah, he seemed just very easy to reach out to and contact. Like, and you can see that he has so much engagement with his own Discord general chat. He's happy to answer questions and respond to people. When I was looking, I even saw Jahiris was messaging at the same time. So
yep,
he's there. He's often available.
Very cool. So what should we do next, guys? With this, because I love it. I think that this is fantastic.
As I said, Taki might be able to comment, but I believe Yarrow from the designers is putting together a proposal to request some funds.
Sorry.
So I think we might be progressing on the design side a little bit. Some of the basic principles of how utility might interact with a governance is kind of, at least I've sourced a little bit of information there, and we still could potentially do a 2-step, 3-step kind of roadmap here, where we could. There are a few different ways we could attack this, so to speak. Because I know previously Dean has said like it'd be nice to walk before we run. So maybe if we did something more basic, and I'm not against like say the idea of having like say a 3D kind of ticket that you could say airdrop to our own DAO or other wider group and say, this could be your whitelist to the next mint, which could be the PFP collection, which interacts with our governance. It's these kind of things that you can think of, like in terms of we need not focus on a single kind of project and say, this is the one we're doing, we're sticking with this no matter what. We can approach it from a stepwise progression.
Cool. All right. Awesome, dude. Sorry, I know you said in the beginning. I glossed over it while you were explaining all the other things in between because there's so much to take in. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries. And Taki's just responded, that himself and Yero are working it up.
Okay, it's nice to have the next steps on that. I guess we can proceed into the backlog, or should pause? Do you think we should hit Bounty HQ first?
Yeah, I think we can do the bounty first because backlog is
Yep.
more of a reminder. So until we have like more of an idea of how to address bounties during calls, I think we should
Okay.
allocate more time.
So just to begin on the topic of bounties, Taki and I just shared. Let me actually share that. So let me share the Twitter link to the DAOiness article that we actually extended the time. So now it overlaps with Athens DAO as well. So we put up a Medium article, kind of keeping it a bit more simple for anybody that wants to read up and submit. I think that's the right process. And at the same time, today, early morning, I had a call with Rider in Red. So let me share that, Miro. He did an exceptional job in kind of outlining the setup and the process. And I think that's pretty much ready. I'm not sure if you guys want to go through that right now, or maybe it's not the best use of time. But let me share that under the live questions as well. We made some fixes there, but Ryder had some really good points, and we addressed them together. And yeah, it's good work there.
So, quick question: the DAOiness article that's putting forward the proposal, was that the same one that was submitted in April?
Yeah, it's the one that you put up on Discord.
Oh, got it. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, just we just felt it was right to put it as
Yeah,
as the
that's.
first
I
one.
was just checking.
Yep. So it's on Twitter now. The visibility is there. I guess people from here will make submissions, but now we're opening it up to anybody else who might be interested.
This is awesome.
So anybody that has a friend who is also into DAOs from another project, this is a great chance to kind of get a great reward and potentially join the DAO and move on from there. I think it's a good start.
Awesome.
Okay, since God Loves DAO
We
is
will
not
be working with
here.
Ryder this week. He has some. Yep.
No, go on.
Ready? And process 2 needs some more work. Yeah, but we're very close. I think.
It's basically what I wanted to mention. Since we're in the process of figuring out the processes, it's a bit like there's no structure yet, or there hasn't been. So we still have completed bounties, and that's what like Kirk mentioned in live chat. We still need to address those. basically we need to like create a list of to-dos regarding. I think that's at least how I would approach it. We need a list of to-dos regarding current bounties, what needs to be addressed, what needs to be done. There are obviously 2 completed bounties which we need to pay for, or send the rewards rather. Yeah. So essentially we need a to-do list. And that's obviously something we in a DAO board can do, but also something that hopefully would come from the bounty masters. So if there are things that are open, and once we have figured out how the process looks like after completion, then obviously it's way more clear for us what needs to happen next. Because actually I don't know how we would proceed right now. It obviously, or I think it would be has something to do with the Squats wallet. There should be a proposal, I guess, but we still don't have everyone from the sub-DAO leaders in Squats, right? So, yeah, we need that to-do list.
Yeah, and a small update on that is that Rider in Red is joining God's Love as the second bounty master.
Which is huge because Rider in Red is awesome, and all the feedback that he's provided and support that he's been providing on things like, governance metrics and things like that. He just continues to gain momentum, and really appreciate the fact that he's participating and helping us solve some pretty challenging problems. Plus, his documentation is equivalent to some designs that I've seen in NFTs, so they're beautiful, man. So keep up what you're doing, man. I haven't seen documentation of that nice, even in my own professional life with other people who are tasked with that process. So fantastic.
Yeah, very clean work. To add on to this, I'm in the process of creating a bounty to hopefully create a bounty board that would be incorporated somehow into the Grape website or Grape dashboard that might alleviate some of the problems we're having. I'm not sure if it's the solution, but I'm going to put it out there to see if it's something we can build upon, something that would be much easier to digest, to see what's bounty's been created, accepted, completed, paid, searchable functions to see, what was paid or what was completed in the past. I'm not, as I said, I'm not sure if that's a solution, but I'm gonna put it up there in case anyone wants to have any comments, or another avenue that we could take instead of that. I guess I should probably talk with God's Love and Rider in Red to see what they would prefer, since they would probably be the main users of this, or I guess the curators. Yeah, Trello would be good.
Yeah, the changing the rewards. This obviously needs to be something that we also need to address in the process itself. So I can see a change in rewards like during the process where there is a bounty proposed and then there is someone who wants to complete it and checks it and says, hey, okay, this takes way more time than initially thought. The rewards don't fit. So then there obviously needs to be a discussion or something along those lines, and then a possible change. changing rewards after the fact, I'm not sure. We didn't talk, and I didn't see any talk about that. Like estimating proper rewards. That's obviously something that isn't easy. So same goes for determining the time needed to complete a bounty. So we need to factor in that. What I find difficult, and it's more like, yeah, if I'm the developer that did a specific task or a bounty and completed it, I know how much time I used or needed for it. And if the dev says, hey, okay, it took way more time, I did it nevertheless. So that's basically something I understand, that there is maybe a need to change the reward, but to change the reward for creation after the bounty is completed, I can't see that. I don't say that I can't see it done right now for the bounties that are live now, because we are figuring out stuff. But I really can't see why we should change the create reward after it was created. And yeah, agreed on. So that's my 2 cents, 2 grapes. Feel free to add to that.
Which one is Kirk talking about? It was loot. It was too low for creation. He understood it to be the minimum. I see.
I think I sent the wrong one. Just a sec. Let me check that. No, it's the correct one. So basically what I mean is we don't know yet what what an appropriate amount for rewarding bounty creation looks like. So that's why I could see us changing it. But for the future and the process itself, I can't see why we would do it in the future, because obviously if a bounty is created and yeah, it's it's online or available and it is worked on, and to change the creation amount after the fact that the bounty is completed, I can't see a reason why we should do that.
So the reward, the only reason I would think of the reward changing after the fact is because it doesn't get traction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but not for finishing it, but not for creating it, because it is
Yeah.
already created. Maybe there's a case where the bounty isn't the bounty proposal isn't good, or the information is lacking, so it needs to be redone. Then obviously there is more work involved. But if the bounty itself is approved and like let me take the new terms, accepted, so the bounty accepted state,
Yep.
referring to the Miro board,
Yep.
then I think this should be fixed or locked
Got it.
in.
Let me ask you a question, guys. And sorry if I'm throwing this out as a curveball right now. Just curious. Would a model like the proposal model make sense for bounties as well, where the reward for creation is dependent on how many bounties are actually valid? I mean, I don't know if that's an easy one to decipher. I think proposals are easier to decipher because there's a definitive metric that you could point to. I don't know if you could do that for bounties. Probably not. Never mind.
I
Disregard.
mean, maybe if it's reviewed by the bounty masters, that could be the metric as, you know, a successful bounty creation.
Yeah. It opens a whole bunch of questions I didn't even think about before, and now I'm thinking about them. I'm like, oh shit. What have I done?
We are
I
also in
think
a
it was,
learning
I think it was
process here,
there.
so
Yeah.
Disregard.
so I think we should do because I don't think that we will find a solution right now. What I can see is like the to-do list I mentioned, and we should discuss it separately, like with the bounty masters and maybe Kirk and Pontes. So for this specific case, and obviously the to-do list regarding any other open bounty, and yeah, obviously what needs to be done additionally during the time it takes to finish the processes and the flows, and for everybody to really understand how bounties work. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we need to find a better format to convey how much a person will receive when the great bounty is complete, rather than just saying, the max reward. Like having it defined before it's gone to those next steps.
Yeah.
One of the completed bounties, the reward was 1,000 USDC, if I remember correctly. That needs to be paid out. We don't have USDC in the bounty, the squad's bounty.
Right.
Where will that come from? Treasury?
possibly. Yeah, we need to check what's still what are the to-dos, and obviously figure out how the rewards will be paid out. Is there just I can imagine Grape and USDC or Sol, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess a Neanderthal can make that proposal.
Yeah. Yeah, before doing that, we obviously should figure out how much USDC we should transfer to the Squats wallet. Because right now, that's the way to go, right? We would use Squats.
Yeah, I mean, is it something that we're gonna transfer every time to squads, or could we just do it directly from realms to the
Yeah, but
user's wallet?
the idea is that we use Squats in order for the people who are responsible for evaluating or for green lighting the bounties,
Right.
that
I see.
those are able to execute. And if we do it each time on realms, it's just pain, and people don't understand why to approve like $500 or $1,000. And so I think we should do like a chunk, transfer it to squats, and then do it from there.
Okay.
And doing it from realms would obviously take much longer.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that's thinking about changing the label for Neanderthal to Neanderthal now? I'm sorry. I know we're talking about something serious. I agree with the squads approach, but I can't. Neanderthal. It does sound like a Star Wars character. I have to admit.
We talked about that like an hour ago.
Yeah, we had
I
this
know.
conversation.
I know. That's
We
why.
can
That's
pronounce
why it
it
caught me by
now.
surprise.
Throwing me for a loop now.
Okay, so to-do list, and maybe check things before Tuesday.
Okay.
Would that work for everyone?
Mm-hmm. Works for me.
Okay, maybe we can. Or is there something regarding bounties that we need to address?
I was gonna say,
Pressing?
do we? I don't know if grants and bounties are synonymous here, but and I don't know if this helps segue into the discussion on Athens DAO.
Yeah, that's what I want to come up
Got
with.
it. Okay. Yep. Then
Yeah.
we can proceed with what you'd like.
Yeah, you basically mentioned it. Athens DAO topic and possible ideas. Maybe is he still here? Yeah, Dean, maybe you want to join us, because obviously Athens DAO will come up, and time is short, and I figure you have some talking points in mind, and maybe we can prepare something, or is there something we should focus on? Yeah, we talked a bit about it in the the board call before the actual DAO call. Do you have any updates, Taki, regarding that? Oh, there he is. Hey, Dean.
Hey, Paz, how's it going?
Sunny Sunday. Awesome.
Yeah, you know, any bounties you guys create that are for realms, um, we'll present them there. You know, now we're gonna be making it. There's gonna be a tweak to the schedule to have a demo day and to really focus on developing things. So
Mhm.
anything that we as a DAO create that we think would be good for realms, yeah, let's present them there. I think the first step would be one, so the moment there's a bounty that we put together that we would want on realms, um, I'll get involved at that point.
Mhm.
Um,
So Realms tooling, basically, you mean?
well, so because this is a DAO conference, it should be focused on things that have to do with governance.
Mhm.
That being said, if there's something governance related that is outside of realms, um, I guess we could do something there too. But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time talking about philosophy. Let's first see a bounty, just one, before we talk about a full-fledged program for how to present them at Athens DAO. It would be nice, but let's hit that milestone first. Is my opinion.
Yeah, sure. That's basically the idea. So uh, give like a direction, and maybe people can think about it during the week and come up with ideas and maybe brainstorm a bit.
Yeah, anything. So this is really the crux of it is anything you think is a gap in realms,
Yeah.
right? Think of the gaps you see in the user experience and the way we as a DAO operate with realms. If you just writing down a list of gaps in realms is valuable. It is valuable for me, and I will. I'll get involved, and Sebastian will get involved. Um, I just don't want to spend time talking about something until we have anything to talk about.
No, sure, sure.
But yeah, the event is looking very big and successful, and now Solana is going to be sponsoring as well. We're still in talks with them if it might become an official Solana event.
Awesome.
They're extremely impressed. So much so that I think we've created a new model. And it's likely that a good portion of this will focus on DAO rewards. So, something that Dimitri had put together, right? What he's put together recently. That's really where a lot of discussion on realms is. Lately, that's where Sebastian seems to have his mind. Um, it's specifically thinking about the best strategies to reward DAO members for both participation in governance, but also in DAO contributions. Um, Anybody who goes into Realms, you'll see that there's a channel called Governance Rewards. Um, there's a lot of information there, a lot of discussion, a lot of different models. Not all of them. They're definitely missing models that you proposed, Dimitri. You're also missing models that they've proposed. So if anybody's interested in getting into the nitty gritty of what Realms wants to be building and focused on, I think going to that channel here. Let me get an invite to that channel in case you guys don't know it. Yeah, so really excited about the feedback there, and that will be the main focus, that kind of tooling angle. But there's other things, like one of the things being discussed is how we could apply roles directly into realms, right? Where you say this wallet is a DAO board member, this wallet is a videographer. I don't know. Those are the things that we're going to be discussing as well. Anybody who's attending, I'll also be sharing different opportunities for people to be speakers there and present. That's my focus over the next 2 days, is to really hammer down the content for that event.
Okay, then. Maybe yeah, we have some ideas, some brainstorming. I tried to put something together. So if anyone is interested, just ping me and send me ideas, or we can schedule something just to get things going.
Yeah, I think if you could share what you've been working on, I'd like to schedule a call. See what we can kind of put together.
Yeah.
That's pretty big news on the Athens DAO potential sponsorship. And that recognition is really nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, if there are no other comments or discussions on the Athens DAO, I think we can go to the backlog.
Yeah, it was just an idea to basically have a reminder for topics that are still open, not that pressing, but important enough topics to not lose sight of. So obviously, yeah, we do have those topics, and maybe some more than I listed. But things like the marketplace is something that it really, every time I think about not coming further along with more ideas, it really saddens me, because there's so much great work put into it, and we obviously have ideas regarding the potentials. So I'd love to continuously remind people, yeah, if they have any idea or suggestion, put them down in writing. Start the discussion anew. So, yeah. Yeah, the topic, Grape validator as a validator. Yeah, we talked about that briefly. Maybe Archimedes, you can give a brief overview of what you told us.
Yep, and I'll be posting right now. I actually had this ready. I didn't want to bombard anybody with it. Ooh, wait a second. Dean just dropped some. Oh, wait,
and it's gone.
where'd it go?
I was eating
Bring it
pizza,
back.
dude. Why he gotta do that while I was eating pizza? Wow.
Come on, man. That was so much more exciting than what I was about to say. The NFT marketplace looked like it's nice and saucy. Very exciting. Yeah, Dean, if I see if you want to discuss, come up, man. Please. If there's anything to discuss.
Yeah, I just want to answer for Right and Red, at least from how I envision it, right? Because this is something new, right? So as a first step, really the whole system needs to be open source, and we got to get to a place where it's easy for anybody to set up without having to talk to anybody. But how do how we envision all these different open source protocols? They are their own entity. So that's why I was kind of always perplexed when people were talking about, oh, we got to do this for GAN, we got to do that for GAN. It's like, well, actually GAN has to do that for GAN. So right now we have a Discord server set up, so that will become the GAN Discord server, where anybody who's a GAN token holder will be there and be discussing governance over the GAN network. At some point, it's likely that GAN will ask for a grant of Grape from our DAO, from Grape. That way, different operations can continue. Primarily on the setup and support side, where today we have certain moderators. Let me see who's in the stage. Well, none of them are here, but traditionally it's like Tariq, Crex, Favor, Legends helped on it. So that would all go. Okay, Legend, you don't count. All of that, anything to do with verification, access, all of that moves over to this new thing we've birthed, which is backed by the Grape token. So that's really how it's connected to Grape, right? Is that just like some of the other ones we have? They're all connected to Grape in that they use a Grape-backed token, but next week I guess we'll have the realms up. How do we keep the GAN community and the Grape community together? They're using the same token, dude. Yeah.
I think what he means, and I have probably a similar question: how can Grape members participate when they don't have GAN tokens because they don't need GAN tokens in order to run servers?
Yeah, so right now the participation is, there's like 4 people who get involved, and then there's 20 people who complain about it. And what kind of participation is that? Like, oh, my brother left, but all I was doing was pissing on him. Look, the guys who are doing stuff, they're going to go and do stuff with people who are doing stuff with it. If you want to be involved with it, you'll get a GAN token. You don't want to be involved with it, don't get a GAN token.
Yeah, but that's basically the question. So
yeah.
the GAN token,
but Grape is still connected in that GAN is going to, at least in the beginning, most likely, yes, 18 people, thank you. Most likely GAN will request a grant of Grape. And then we as Grape will decide, okay, for the ecosystem, for this or that, whatever, we'll think about that. But that's really how that connection will go. I also aspire to work with the Dean's List group, and on here, Riptide is one of the major members. In the audience, I also see Pontus, an avid learner. From my perspective, and I'd love to hear Riptide's opinion on this, it's been a very big success. I would like for us to also now put in a proposal to get more Grape from the Grape DAO. That way we can deploy it in other ways to grow the Grape ecosystem through this lens that we're using. That's how I think these are connected. But I want to really specifically answer on the Gan community side, which is that realm will be set up this week. The Discord server will be shared with everybody. It'll have its own GAN. That way, people are whatnot. This might be hearsay. Maybe we can sell Grape access to projects without having to engage them in governance, like making governance the premium Grape access. Cool idea. Get a GAN and propose it to GAN. This really what's going to be happening. We are no longer going to be in a place where, hey, we get to discuss what other people's work is, and that's really awesome. If you want to be involved in it, hey, put some skin in the game, or don't be involved with it.
But that's actually the question, because with Dean's List, it's straightforward. But with GAN, I understood it like it's only for people who have a Discord server. But now
so
it makes more sense.
it would primarily make sense for communities to have GAN, right? It would make sense. Now, eventually, just like Grape has to deploy bounties, GAN's going to need to deploy bounties. Well, maybe they will work with Grape and say, hey, can you have your bounty master work with you guys? Here's some Grape. We need a bounty. Or maybe there's going to be design work needed. Okay, GAN, which generates Grape as a virtue of purchase of the Gan token, will then deploy Grape here to get design made. This is how you build this ecosystem. But I am definitely not feeling that we've lost anything where people who are not involved no longer can sit there and whisper in the ear of the people who are working on it, right? Like before, it's not that complicated, CryptoPause. It's not nearly that complicated.
Had to do it.
Yeah. No, every single purchase, there's a 5%. Every single seller, there's a 25% royalty. Those royalties over time, there's enough Grape to be able to deploy into other places. Maybe GAN will purchase Dean token to be able to get feedback on GAN. But maybe I'm very optimistic and visionary because I get super excited about this. Like when you start to understand how these separate pockets are able to have their own economies on it's definitely not like that. On Dean's List, we've already done our emissions. We did our emissions very painlessly. And we've already generated upwards of 100,000 Grape. Our newest bounty was worth over $1,000. And we have a very easy process to do those emissions too. So, what's great about having these different groups is they're also going to be able to improve on our processes. We're going to say, well, look, these guys are doing their emissions. How are they doing it? Or maybe we won't ever have to do. Maybe we'll never have to do emissions, right? Maybe all of these sub-DAOs will handle their own stuff. Does the Grape DAO board have any say in the Gan DAO? Only if Grape DAO board's holding Gan token. And Gan has no say in Grape unless Gan wants to swap back into Grape. If Grape DAO wants to have more say in Gan, we'll vote to swap our Grape into Gan and then have more voting power there. Anyway, I think I've gone over it a lot, and now it's we're kind of having a lot of fun. So I'll step off unless there's an actual question.
Really appreciate it.
want you on as well, because there was another conversation that I'd love to get your thoughts on. And also to pose to the rest of the community is the validator that came up. The discussion on, and I think we'd explored this in the past, and one of the reasons why we may not have talked about it too much at the time was because of the price of Solana at the time. And I do recall that we were exploring ideas around, when would it make sense for us as a DAO to put forward a proposal to run a validator. I know that we should just be putting forward a proposal and then figuring out the details, but I definitely wanted to get thoughts on who in our community would feel comfortable. Say we did it as a proposal and the community got behind it. I want to make sure that the people that could help support it are behind it as a concept. If it was to be a proposal and it was something that was to go forward, I don't want this necessarily to fall on the developers if they're not comfortable with the idea of having a dedicated set of operational requirements. A proposal is great and everything, but unless we know that there's people behind it to support it, would like thoughts on that and see how people feel about it. As far as costs are concerned, it's not a small cost. The discussion on validation in the beginning and up until now has always been one of how much would it cost as upkeep? What are the key objectives and milestones that we'd need in order to be able to run a validator? There's a fiscal or financial USD cost on the hardware and the servers that need to be paid for. There's a minimum amount of stake, which Solana Foundation may put up a certain amount, anywhere between 50 and 80,000 Solana SOL, depending on whether or not you fit the criteria of their requirements, being regionally decentralized and in a location where there aren't a lot of other validators, being in a provider space that there aren't a lot of validators hosted in those spaces, so that there's diversification, there's decentralization across the network. And the cost would have to be something in the vicinity of like 1.1 to 2 SOL a day, voting on consensus, which is roughly $90 a day. I'm sorry, not 90. That 2 SOL would be roughly 160 at the time. Maybe 140, 150 now, where the price has dipped a little bit, but it's roughly 30 grand a year, right? So anywhere between 30 and 35 grand a year on that. So cost-wise, there's a significant undertaking. The key determinants on whether or not you're profitable is uptime. It's the amount of stake you can attract from the community to stake SOL on the validator, and the uptime and making sure that there's relatively no downtime, which is not always in your own hands to control. It might very well be a network-wide issue, and whoever would sign up for this minor caveat would probably have to be available at odd times, or a moment's notice, or we'd have to have some type of urgency or contingencies there. And when I say we, it would be them. I don't know if I'd be able to help support this as much as I want to. I'd participate in monitoring and things like that, without any compensation. I don't care. It's just to make sure this succeeds, or at least gets its legs. But this is the thought of running a validator, being part of the Solana validator ecosystem, being part of the infrastructure, all the way down to the core, getting every member that we have in the community possible to support a stake pool or some type of method in which we pool all the SOL that needs to be pooled and accumulate the SOL that needs to be pooled in order for a validator to be profitable. I've shared in the chat documents if anybody's curious on this, and there have been numerous conversations in other channels, and I wanted to give a shout out to the other members of the group that have pointed it out, and I think it was Kyle. Kyle made some really interesting comments. I believe Kyle has a background in network infrastructure. Is one of our Neanderthals. And he also gave a lot of really interesting tidbits on solutions that might be capable of being leveraged to help build up a validator or help run one. But I'll take a step back I'll talk a little less here because this is setting the talking to Crypto G from Monkey DAO and the main man behind Monkey DAO's validator program. Yep, it's a really good idea. Genesis Go, I think they run validators generally. Crypto G is awesome in general. Like I typically get a really good sense from someone like Crypto G just reading his tweets and seeing the amount of effort that he puts into making sure some of the successes of the Monkey DAO have been put forward and they achieve success on their validator program. They have something called the DAO pool, if I'm not mistaken. That being said, that's the topic of discussion. It's a thought that I wanted to put out to the community, to the people listening here. It's not formal as of present, but it's a discussion that arose, and it would be awesome to try and have something, a decision factor on whether or not we actually want to push this forward. Because it is an interesting conundrum, right? There are other projects out there, and I've pasted a comparative analysis of other services. Some services require more stake, but they're cheaper on the validators. Some require less stake, but they're more expensive on the validators. And so, Solana is a high performance network that needs to have things running smoothly, pretty regularly in order to be rewarded. Let's just think about it, and if anybody's interested, let's get the word out that this is something that we might want to push forward as a project. And if there's anyone interested, would really like to see volunteers raise hands, knowing what the undertaking is and understanding that this would be a pretty regular occurrence and something that they'd have to do going forward. I'm psyched about it, and I've always liked the idea of running a validator and being part of the network and having a stake in more than just the token, but also having a stake in how the system operates and making sure that you're taking that extra step. Yep, Writer in Red, for uptime, we would need probably dev or multiple devs, or at least support, right? Level 0, level 1, level 2 type support groups that would be available potentially 24/7, because at moment's notice, your validator goes down, you may not be profitable, you may be removed from the staking pool or from the validator pool for a period of time. I'm not sure what the penalties are. I'm not sure if there's any forfeit to your stake. Yeah, and that's exactly it. And thank you for clarifying it that beautifully. I don't want this to be something that we point at our devs and say devs are the ones that do everything, right? For trash NFTs, artificial intelligence tied to those 4 NFTs that could run a validator would be the most phenomenal thing I can think of. but yeah, saying that we're going to do a validator and then throwing this at the devs and saying you're the ones that have to do it is not something I want to be behind as a proposal. I want us to really flesh this out and think about it and coordinate appropriately with the community and see if there really is anybody that wants to do it. Yeah, exactly. We have a 24/7 community. Everything's possible. This should not all fall on the shoulders of one set of individuals, especially when we're talking about doing something completely new. That's way outside the scope of building the tools that have already been built and continue to get built. And we see a lot of progress there and don't want to take away from that. So anyway, that's my 2 grapes. Validator, find the people, figure out the cost, avoid bombarding our devs. Those are the bullets or the grapes. I want some alpha, Kirk. I want some. If this were a vending machine and I had to put coins in, I'd be objection. No, no objection. No objection whatsoever, sir. Oh, not sharing the alpha until you release the bounties. Guys, where are we on releasing the bounties? my fault. I know. I'm pointing at everyone else just so that I can hope he'll forgive me. Wow. Okay. Well, I'll stop talking now. Because I'm gonna start begging any minute. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nod, nod. He's waiting for it, eh? You're waiting for me to say something harsher. All right, guys, I'm gonna stop talking now. That was the highlight. Hopefully, we can get the ball rolling on this. Spread the word. Call your friends. Tell your friends. Tell your family. We want to run a validator if possible. Whoever is willing to undertake the task and be part of that equation, we'd love to hear more from the community on it. Might put out an announcement to see if anybody's interested and to really get traction on that in a form of some sort, or we'll figure that out. I'm not sure if we want to set this up as a bounty, but I do want that alpha, Kirk. I want that alpha. Shouldn't the alpha be required for the bounties to be released? I want a receipt of transaction.
Yeah, I saw that somewhere in the process on Miro. Let me add that if it isn't there.
Oh man, I guess I'm gonna have to make a bounty for the validator and for the alpha. Kirk's alpha. I'm making a bounty called Kirk's alpha if I don't see it today. I'm laughing and crying at the same time. Anyway, guys, I'm having too much fun here. I feel like I'm distracting from the rest of the group from whatever else we want to talk about. So I'll pass it off.
No, that was a very valuable rundown of what it would take to, if you wanted to explore this great validator proposal. And typically when we start talking with Kirk at this level, it's typically like we're finished with the DAO call. I think last Sunday it ended like this too, where we're just talking with Kirk like this, but
We deserved it.
yeah.
I love it. It's great. So yeah, so my objective is going to try and get the message out. If there's anybody that has any suggestions or recommendations here, I'd love to hear it. You know, I do want to put forward a proposal and just get the ball rolling, but I definitely want to make sure we have the right people before we commit to something. If it passes, that's I don't think I've ever heard of myself say this, but that type of proposal passing without knowing all the inputs would be a little scary.
Definitely.
Oh, and if you fail to perform, if the foundation does give you the initial stake, what ends up happening is they can retract it, right? So they could basically take it back, is my understanding, if you fail to perform your duties as a validator, etc. So failure is not an option, and without that stake, you effectively go from being profitable or break even, not profitable, from being potentially break even to being underwater. Like you have to put up a significant amount to be able to run it. So that's why the operational part is so important. Anyway,
All right. Looks like we can probably start looking to close this up. Are there any final comments or anything else that we needed to discuss that we perhaps missed?
What was on your
Jeez.
pizza?
Veggies, man, veggies. It's just a long past couple of days, so I just couldn't cook. But
Okay, not that impressed, but
yeah, this is Papa John's, but pizza here in Korea is just doesn't hit like it does anywhere else, I think. Which bounties are active at the moment? Hopefully, writers answering that.
They're in discourse, no? Or maybe we need to
yeah, all bounties are in discourse, but it's not that clear to see
Right.
Right.
the state.
So like that's one thing that we are trying to figure
Yeah.
out to show that it has been reviewed and this has been put up
I
and
was
active.
Yeah, I was looking at the solution feature, by the way, in discourse. It should be active, but I don't see it, and I'm curious why. I need to go triple check why it's not showing up, even though it shows up in the settings. Very strange. Because the solution piece would be something where it'd be like, okay, when's it completed? Solution would probably be the status to complete it. But anyway, the alternative is tagging and using different tags to signify a status on a bounty, because tags are pretty easy to add to a bounty.
Yeah. And I know writers working on that Trello board, which I think would be very valuable. Thanks for that again. Until we hopefully come up with a more permanent solution within the Grape ecosystem. I don't know, maybe Trello is, but I would like to, see it incorporated into the Grape website. A bounty board.
Are
Yeah,
you
it would be cool.
Just out of curiosity, were you thinking of something that would be like the strata bounties, where they could be created on the fly in the dashboard and then managed from there per user?
I mean, maybe I haven't seen the Strata bounty board, but like, yeah, that would be something that we could explore. I was gonna try to organize a call with the writer or God's Love, and then see, since they would probably be the main curators of that, um, and see what we need to get ready for something like that. But if that's a process that makes it simpler, again, I don't think it would be too difficult to kind of weed out, people who are making proposals, trying to, go fishing versus people who are making proposals to create something of value for Grape. Um, but if we make it a lot similar, just kind of transit, copy pasting what we have on discourse onto this, uh, Grape bounty board dashboard. I think that could be something worthwhile exploring.
Yeah. Yeah, my idea on that would be if somebody could log in, create the bounty, right? There could be a status associated with it. They're the ones that control it. They're the ones that can fund it or connects to. And then on the other hand,
Yep.
the recipient can log in and submit their candidacy for the bounty, and then
Yep.
that then just becomes an off-chain confirmation that yes, I completed the bounty. Did you? Yes, wonderful. You select them as the distribution. No need to post wallets anywhere. No nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. The flow would be really nice to see.
Yep. Can't wait for it, dude. I'm looking forward to your bounty on the bounties.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we managed to cut it to 2 hours and 1 minute. Unless there's anything else, guys.
Yeah, I think this is something we're gonna try to have on the brief updates as well.
Yeah, that was the idea
Because
with the bounty section, honestly. So basically, that the bounty masters can say, hey, this is happening, this is changing, these bounties are specifically important. So something like that.
yeah, even if it's just typed up, something that can easily just be presented to you on these DAO calls. For sure. Okay. I guess that concludes our call. Thank you everybody for joining. May you have a great day or night wherever you are at.
Thank you, guys. Happy Mother's Day to anybody if they forgot or don't care. But
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. Alright,
Great.
bye.
Take care. Bye.